Here we are. Welcome to season two of the Illumination series. This is a very interesting time because there are endings and beginnings happening all at once. And it just feels so profoundly beautiful to be here live with my gorgeous soul sisters, Radiant Soul Nicole, Nina Infinity, and my superhero name when I'm working with them, especially because it fits, is Aurora Light. Also, Casey Knight is my birth name, and this Illumination season is going to have interviews from beautiful luminaries from all over the world, having incredibly inspiring, connected conversations. The last season was with Nicole and Nina exclusively. And so starting the season off with you ladies is just such a profound gift. Endings and beginnings happening all at once because the three of us have co-created so many different things together over the decade that we've known each other. And 2 years ago, we embarked upon this mission, this journey to create a beautiful co-creative membership called The Playground. That we really adored and had a beautiful array of souls come in to dance and move and be in ceremony and share and connect. It was amazing. And we are releasing this month. August is the final month of our co-creative membership, The Playground. And it was quite a journey to come to the acceptance that it was time to let go of this beautiful thing that we had created together. But endings and beginnings are all part of that creation cycle. And so we wanted to share some codes and some just a story around the why. Why would we let go of something so beautiful that we've co-created together? And just, be an example of what it looks like to let something go, even though you love it, because something new is ready to emerge, even if you don't understand the what or the why or the how yet. So Nina, Nicole, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy to be connected, and I'd love for you to say hi. And I feel like we just need a little energy check-in. How are y'all doing?
We're out of practice. I wasn't sure who was going to go. Yeah, hello, welcome everybody. If you're watching us live or checking us out on the replay, I'm Nicole. How am I doing with all of this? It feels a little bit surreal today for me. Also because this is our last month, but today I was able to do a dance journey in the playground for the final time. And it was very bittersweet. And spoiler alert for anybody that was going to watch it later, I used the song Bittersweet Symphony because life is such a bittersweet symphony, and we get to hold all of it. That was the theme in the dance today, where we got to feel the feelings and really feel the difficult feelings. I held space for that. And then we moved into the bittersweet, where you can hold the difficult ones and the celebration both at the same time and have it both be in your experience. And then having that like kind of upliftment energy. And it was actually, now I'm just sharing a story. It was really neat because our future version of us came into the dance with us and shared the codes, like it's going to be okay, because you would always tell that to your future or to your past self, right? Like it's going to be okay. And they kind of shared the codes to and danced with you, and it was a really beautiful journey. And so yeah, it's sad to let all this stuff go, but also it is, all three of us are feeling like there's so much more that wants to come in and be created. So this the bittersweet symphony. That.
Yes, perfect soundtrack for that. Thank you for sharing. And I can't wait to do the dance ceremony. Oh, it's going to be so profound. Nina, how are things?
I actually just completed some beautiful client sessions with the Oracle card readings, which is a part of the training that Aurora is offering. And I'm feeling shiny and lit up about all the beautiful synchronicities that just came through with the people that I just sat with in in the readings. And when I feel into the completion and the new beginnings, it's feeling. I just pulled a card for someone actually. It's honoring the cycles. It's one of the earth cards, and it's feeling like we're honoring the cycles, and it feels like we're allowing the organic timing to speak through us, and that as we're honoring that, we're, rather than fighting against it, like trying to hold on to something that was good, we're open to even something even better flowing through, and honoring that it was exactly what we needed in the time that we were birthing it and creating it and sharing it. The image I've been sharing with quite a few people in conversation lately, is that if we have our hands closed and we're gripped onto something that we really want to continue to have, even when it's the natural organic death, then we don't have our hands open to receive. So that's what it's feeling like to me, is like so much gratitude and reverence for all of the gifts that it's provided for me, and also um some excitement for what we're going to go forth and create, both together and individually. There's a spaciousness that's opened up in creative energy, and really looking forward to seeing what we all create with it.
Mm. I love that. That is such a profound metaphor. I've been reading some books about the forest and the natural life cycles. And as Nina was mentioning, I also do have my Creation Coach Academy that works with the elements. We work with our beautiful Oracle card deck. We have coaching, we have dance, all kinds of facilitation. And both Nina and Nicole are in that program. That does include a certification and practicum where you get to practice, and it's always so profound. But working with these elements, working with nature, has taught me so much about the gentleness that can come through and the flow when we're not in that resistance to what is, right? When we are working with the energies of what's arising and we're allowing cycles to happen. And in the book that I'm just reading, I think it's called Finding the Mother Tree. I can't remember the author, but it's fabulous. She's saying, imagine what would happen if the forest didn't have the decomposition cycles of the fungus, of the bacteria and the bugs and everything that eats down the organic matter. The earth would completely have run out of space and we would just be packed, right? We actually require things to be deconstructed so that we have the resources to build something new. And fighting against that process just misaligns us from the flow of time and the flow of everything. And also the fact that it always, it's a cycle. We live in a cyclical world where we go through all of the seasons, but our personal journey is this spiral, right? It's this upward spiral if we are evolving and we're allowing ourselves to build on the energy of what was. And we take the lessons and we take the wisdom and we take even the mistakes and the failures and we learn from them. And then we build something that's going to be even better, in greater alignment, and with all of the new energy that's coming forward. So I really appreciate that we have this elemental wisdom to lean on that's basically saying, it's okay. All good things do come to an end, but then something even more beautiful gets to grow from it.
How are you feeling about all of this?
Thank you for asking. Excited. I love change. And when something starts to feel heavy and like I'm ready for change, I can get a little impatient on waiting for that organic timing, and I want to move to the next thing. So I'm feeling the bittersweet energy, but mostly excitement, because what we co-created isn't actually going anywhere. I still get to be friends with you. We're creating in-person ceremonies now instead of just digital ceremonies, which served us so beautifully when COVID shut the world down and we couldn't gather in person. But after 2 years of connecting online, which has been amazing. It served so much purpose. It brought us together into this global community with people that wouldn't be able to come and play with us in person. I'm ready for more of that in-person connection, and also to create some new things, as well as to bring a little bit more energy to some of the programs that I have birthed over this last year. So looking forward to our final ceremony at the end of August and the spaciousness that that's going to create. I feel like I am 12 months pregnant, honestly, not just 9, but 12 months pregnant with a whole bunch of projects that are just like ready to be birthed from me. They've been gestating for so long, and having the time and the space and the energy and the capacity to bring them into the world is thrilling, because I can't wait to meet them.
As you were speaking, I have my deck next to me as I was just doing readings, as I mentioned, but I just felt pull a card, and I was getting it from the top, near the top of the deck, and this is what I found. This is what came through. Soaring, ready to soar. And yeah, it's like the image of just like the bird, the freedom, the liberation, the expansion that's available. And I love how you mentioned that you're feeling 12 months pregnant, and I wanted to tie this back to something that we experienced while we were in this contemplation of what next. It was actually at the end of last year. It was solstice, winter solstice, December 21st, that Aurora and Nicole, maybe you two can share a little bit about what came through for you at that time, and that it actually was about a 9-month journey for us to, in contemplation along the way. Is it going to be something different? Is it a new membership? What are we creating? What are we releasing? What are we creating? And then it took us about 9 months to get to this point where we're like, oh, that's the clarity. So I love that organic timing. But maybe you can kind of start from the beginning of what that journey was like when you first received that guidance that something was to shift.
So I think it was actually around first off, like December 12th, before the solstice, during an eclipse. And we all know eclipse passages are huge transitions, and you go through this portal. It's like going through the eye of a needle, and the things that no longer serve you and that are no longer in alignment can't really come with you. And we were feeling into this energy. And honestly, over the past 2 years, I feel like myself personally, and I know you ladies have felt some of this energy too, we've been evolving so quickly that it was very difficult to almost have a stable place to land and to create something that would last, because it was like you'd create something and it would already be like outdated, because you'd evolved so much and so quickly over that time. And it honestly felt in many ways like time was just like rushing forward. And there was this moment where Nicole and I went into a meditation, and we were just feeling into the energy of the playground and if we wanted to move forward with it. And when we felt into that, it just felt heavy and dense, and just like it didn't have that lightness that we know we want to play in when it comes to our business and our lives. And when we felt into the energy of releasing it, instead of just the feeling of lightness, what actually came through was the intense vision and experience that both Nicole and I had, where we were suddenly in this golden pyramid. It looked a little bit like the one behind me. And there was this beautiful Christ consciousness energy that came through that honestly, I think made both of us just cry. It was such a profound love. The divine love of source and spirit. And there was the divine masculine, feminine, beautiful weaving of energy. And it was so sacred. We were weeping. Our hearts were open. And we realized, I realized at first, I was like, oh, okay. This is what I'm here to bring through. I am here to lead with sacred energy I always do bring it in the inside of my program, but I realized that I was supposed to be speaking about this divine love, this crystalline consciousness, this connection to source, this expansion, this magical love that literally shifts everything, and to be leading with that. And the playground hadn't been created with that energy at the forefront as the leading energy, though we brought it into all of our ceremonies and all of our experiences. And so we weren't sure where we were going, but we sat with it and shared that with you over this 9-month process. And we really went through other ceremonial visions too, where we were like, what is it? What's next? And I would love for someone to speak into what happened around that Aries new moon, around the equinox as well. But Nina, or Nicole rather, do you remember the essence that came through on the solstice, and how did that feel for you?
Yeah, it was. There was also your birthday. We tapped into it too, which was before. I don't remember the timing exactly now.
Yeah, it was like that December passage from like my birthday to about the solstice. Like all of this was happening all at once.
Yeah,
12 as well, probably.
Yeah, 12.
Such potent energy, and yeah, really like honestly, it felt like another activation into our next level of like priestesshood and bringing that sacred, cosmic, divine, ancient, new energy, bringing in codes of this, like just signing as I'm doing this, I'm realizing bringing in codes of the sacred sisterhood was coming through, and I'm feeling like, like that Mary Magdalene and like Christ energy it was just such a huge activation. And it's so interesting afterwards, after I went and looked at our playground website, I'm like, oh, whoa, it's loud. It's not what we're doing. It's so interesting how that was so out of alignment, but it was right for the time because things are just transforming so fast. We get to destroy and uncreate and create and destroy again, like over and over and over all the time. Yeah, so that time of year was such a sacred passage and always so much information coming through. And we just, we felt like it wasn't quite ready yet to go to make a big decision. We were just going to sit with it. And then we finally got together on the Aries new moon. So around the spring equinox, it had been a few months, and went into another big activation and meditation. And again, more of that sisterhood wounding energy was coming through, and like how we could help people to heal that sacred sisterhood wound as the three of us as partners, and showing the way for other people, because I know that's such a big thing for so many people. I'm just going to fast forward just a little bit to like a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was even last week, I can't remember because time is wonky. But as we were actually getting ready and announcing that we were to our members that we were closing the playground, I was having this like super like anxiety come up, and I wasn't sure what it was all about. And once I tapped into it a little bit more, I'm like, okay, it's not actually about like the playground ending and like losing the income because I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But when I tapped into it, I realized that this whole journey has been so magical because this has helped me heal something that I didn't even know I was carrying when I used to be part of another group of women many years ago, and we had a partnership thing together. And it ended in a way that left my nervous system feeling really unsafe, that if you both leave, that I'm gonna be left alone and you're gonna soar without me. And it was a really beautiful opportunity to, acknowledge, first of all, that I know that's not, we're going to soar together. We're going to rise together. Even though if we're off doing our things separately, we're still going to rise together because that's who we are and that's our evolutionary partnership. So I knew that, but my nervous system didn't. So it was this beautiful opportunity to do some inner adult healing from when I was a younger adult and really allow myself to go deeper into that. So I guess in a roundabout way, we still did get to do that sisterhood healing, and that might come out more in future events in the future, in live and in person. But for now, that's where we're at with that. And I know that we went through, jumping back now, we had a few different iterations of what the membership, we were going to still pursue an online membership, and we were getting all of these things and they felt so potent and powerful of all this information and downloads, like, oh, this is what it's going to be. This is what it's going to be. This is what it's going to be. And then eventually we were getting close to kind of launching it. And I had this meditation saying, just feel like what it would feel like if you released the playground completely and didn't create something new. And in my meditation, I was like, I'm free. And I brought that up a little while ago, a month or so ago, and like, yeah, there isn't anything left to create online right now. That just felt so heavy, even though all these things that felt so good at the time as we were creating them in March. And I think we met again like in May and June, and it's just been such an interesting experience to hold all of this, create something, and then just let it go, because that's where the freedom is coming from. We know that something better is coming. I'm curious your experience, Nina.
Yeah, and just what you were sharing about like how we were getting the downloads over various periods of time, it was almost like it speaks to how fast the energy has been moving, and how in one moment it might be like, oh, this is the right thing, and then actually it can shift. And letting that organic timing and honoring of the cycles, just honoring that. The other thing I wanted to share is that we were actually called back on that Aries new moon to ritualistically, like we were sitting in meditation, tuning in, like, what is the new iteration? What is it that wants to be birthed through us? And we were actually guided. I think it was you, Nicole. You were like, I want to like 0 point the energy. I'm going to 0 point the energy of the playground and just see what then emerges. And this speaks so much to the evolutionary alchemy system that Aurora, you've created, which is transform, activate, and embody. And transform is always the first piece to work with, because this is where we get to use the element of fire or water, any of the elements, to clear space. In ceremony, we might do this through shaking or toning or breath to clear space, so that then there's space for the new energy to flow. So we were actually called to have almost like, not almost like, it was literally in our mind's eye, a funeral for the old iteration, and then we were wondering into what the new iteration would be like. And this importance of creating this space in life, and not being afraid of the death and destruction or the cycles of letting go, because there's such potent richness in being in that space of honoring what was, and then being open to what it is wanting to emerge. We actually spoke into it as if we were in, like almost like a eulogy. Like, I'm grateful for what I took away from this. I'm grateful for the medicine and the lessons that I've learned, and this opportunity to touch so many people when we were feeling very disconnected in the world. We brought a sense of connection. And this is for me, what is like creating a conscious completion. This can be in relationship. I've explored some conscious completions in relationships before, when we're deciding to uncouple. This can be in a business partnership. This can be, even for me, I've experienced this when I was leaving a career. And as I was it was a pretty long process to grieve this leaving from this career. But I actually did have a vision at one point when I was doing a breathwork ceremony. I was in like seeing myself in a cemetery. I was in Mexico at the time, and I saw myself in a Mexican cemetery with the Day of the Dead flags hanging. And I actually saw myself giving a eulogy for my previous career. So honoring, like, when we come into completions, taking those, what's the gold that we received? What's the pearls of wisdom that helped to make us who we are now? What's the medicine that we received? And being in gratitude and appreciation for that, even when there is sadness, and honoring the sadness, or honoring like the release of it. There's space for all of it, the full spectrum of what is there. And yeah, so that was a really powerful ritual that we were all divinely guided to come into. We do, I'm sure many of you have heard us say before, we do everything in sacred space. So we always call in sacred space, as you were just sharing a little bit about Aurora, where then we're we're in that kind of 0 point. We're in that space where we can receive what we're meant to receive, and we're clear channels. And in that, after that, in that same time we're sitting together, as you alluded to, Aurora, speaking into the honoring the divinity of what we wanted to really share, even though it was already encoded in everything we did, allowing it to be more at the forefront. And that's something that I'm expanding into as well. I've recently received a message from a mentor of mine who said, people are coming to you for your magic. Don't be worried about the woo or dialing it down. Let it fully come through you. So call in the sacred space, use the names, use the words of what wants to really flow through you, because that's the medicine that you have. And so it's a constant lesson for me, one that I've been navigating and learning for a long time. But it's like, we all know this one Hooper, Babs, she says, don't water yourselves down for other people, because then you will be like watered down. Be your full authentic self and give no F's, and let that fullest expression flow through you. And that's going to be who you attract into your tribe, into your friendship circles, as clients, whoever it may be. And I feel like that was a really beautiful message that came through from that time together, where we were like, oh yeah, like let the Christ consciousness come through, let the divinity come through, let these words, use these words, I think sometimes it can be, for some people, they're like, oh, I want to be cautious how much I use the word like Christ, for example, because it might be triggering for people. But also there's this opportunity to give people permission to reclaim it. And that was a process for me as well, reclaiming the Christ consciousness, and reclaiming, calling in like Jesus and Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary for in my divine team, in my team of light, because I was raised in a Catholic tradition where it was, we won't get into that, but very different around the way that I view these beautiful beings now, where even just feeling like we were told you need to go to a certain place and talk to certain people to be able to connect with these beings. And it's not my experience. My experience is that it's always here for us. They're always here for us at any time. And so, yeah, repatterning and reclaiming those words, and not being afraid not being afraid and not shying away from, owning that. And knowing that the right people will be be magnetized towards us, as that if that's authentic for us, then they'll be drawn into that authenticity.
Thank you so much for sharing so eloquently so many of the things that I feel like I've walked through as well. There's this constant expansion and evolution of authenticity. And I know throughout my life, I have really dialed back my light and my joy and my full expression. And I would be feeling like I could share myself, really fully. And I was an open book, but only with people that felt safe, and only oftentimes if they ask the right questions. The witch wound that a lot of us carry, whether it's from a past life or soul experiences, or just the collective consciousness of, oh, it's not really safe to be so out there and to be so magical and to flaunt it, and you're going to trigger people, and all of that really made it feel so much more comfortable to basically dial down what I presented publicly, and only share that sacredness and the Christed consciousness and the magic and the joy and the love and the literal orgasmic bliss that can come from the new earth realms that, I can share with people in our sessions and our meditations and one-on-one and in group stuff. I felt too vulnerable, I think, it felt too vulnerable to share that really fully and lead with it. So this has been a really beautiful evolution of feeling like there's even more to share, even more authentically. I have held back from talking about ascension, right? Because I know it's very misunderstood, right? I've held back from talking about, like you were saying, the Christ consciousness and working with Yeshua and Mary Magdalene and Source and all of that. But I'll speak light language and I'll talk about the elements and working with Gaia, because it felt like there wasn't as much baggage around that, if that made sense. There wasn't as much of that old programming that we need to move through. And I just am so excited to be able to take off another layer, another, I guess, almost mask I was wearing that was hiding my true essence and my true nature and my true joy and my true like zest for life and my evolutionary codex that's contained within me that is for the ascension of humanity and our conscious evolution into the, full light body expression of our beingness. So it's going to be a wild journey to step even more fully into this expression. But I know what we've done together in the playground prepared me for it. I feel like the playground, honestly, was our training wheel where we really got to practice creating together and creating those sacred spaces inside of that sacred container. And it's time just to throw them off. And I guess just like, I'm just seeing us like blasting down the trails in like these BMX bikes, just going like, wee.
Like that we're all on this journey with this power to stand on our own now. And it's been such a beautiful experience to get here. I know for myself personally, it was literally my feet didn't work. I literally couldn't stand on my own 2 feet for a while. And then I noticed the connection with that fear that had come up about like being afraid to stand on my own and doing things on my own and not having the support of my two beautiful soul sisters. And I'll still have your support, but just in a different way, of course. And it's so fascinating how we are all, we've built such a strong foundation, each of us, and now we get this opportunity to really stand in our own power and share our own gifts and express ourselves even more authentically as we've all learned more about who we are and what our gifts are to share with the world. Can't wait to see what we all have in store.
I feel like co-creating together, we have gone through the embodiment of all these processes that we are here to share with the world, right? That sisterhood wounding healing, huge, right? The being able to connect, to be vulnerable, to be raw, to be authentic, being held with you too in our private containers, like just in our WhatsApp chats and things like that, as well as in business and in ceremony together, right? Co-creating these beautiful, magical expressions of our fullness. It's just really allowed us to become who we always have been, right? To feel safe enough to let go of those old programs that have been holding us into the smallness, the tininess, right? That didn't feel safe to be fully on our own, but it was perfect because we needed each other, beautiful divine trinity, to grow into that which we already were and to hold each other through the processes so we can share what we've been through on the journey now, as having that coding within our energy fields, and we can share what it looks like, share what it feels like, and step into the role of leadership individually, but still connected, right? It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful journey, and it's been such a wonderful experience to hold space for all of the amazing souls that we've had in the playground over the last few years, and the feedback that we've received about how powerful it's been of an experience for them in the different ceremonies, different activations, meditations. It's really quite magical what's come through as we've continued, for me especially, to continue to open my channel and let the words just flow. And I know that's been something that's been a powerful experience for you as well, Nicole, where we're learning to just like open and just trust what comes through. yeah, I've benefited so much from that experience. And I was actually just thinking about something when you were talking about us embodying a lot of the things that come through. Sometimes we'll be like, one of us will come onto the WhatsApp chat and say like, oh my goodness, I just did this thing and then this happened. And oftentimes another one of us will be like, it's almost as if, it's usually Aurora, it's almost as if what we teach works. And it's like so cool because we're embodying what we have learned. It's now become experiential wisdom. And then that for me feels like the most integral place to share from. It's wonderful to share wisdom or information that comes in, but when it first comes into our experience, oftentimes it's here. And then as we practice it, it comes into the body and it becomes embodied. And then that's like the living example that people can feel when we're teaching it. So I feel like that's been such a blessing for me in having this continual practice to embody what we're teaching, what we're sharing, and in our sister relationship as well, to be, so sometimes one of us is having a hard time and then another one of us might say, have you tried this practice or that practice? And it's like, oh yeah, I can regulate myself. Like, I often need reminders. It's like, silly me, why don't I do the things that are good for me? Oh yeah. And then someone shines the flashlight for me and reminds me. The other thing I'll share is that the other day I was actually helping my mom. She's clearing out her space a lot and getting the house ready to move. And we were moving things and cleaning. And I was like, I just had this moment, let's call in sacred space and ask the earth element, the physical realm, to support us. Let's ask Gaia to support us in creating the space we need, creating the cleanliness, helping us to release what we don't need anymore because we had a giveaway pile, and just supporting the entire process of this, creating beauty and order in this physical space. And we did. My mom was open to it. She's really cool. And it just flowed really beautifully after that. So it's like everything's a ceremony, and we can always call in sacred space and call in the elements or team of light or all the beings to be there with us as we move through life. So such a blessing, and something that I'm really taking away from both the creation coach training and our time together in the playground.
Yeah, practice, right? Like we had the chance in our co-creative membership to practice all of the things that we're here to teach. We know we're all ceremonialists. We're all embodiment guides. We come from dance backgrounds. That's, if you don't know, that's how we know each other, is from hula hooping. And Nina's first business, Infinity Hoop Dance, was this beautiful space where Nicole and I also had the chance to teach. And then for me, it felt a bit full circle to also create a space where the two of them could teach for me after Nina had given me the opportunity to teach hula hooping for her and her beautiful brand. And I'm really just feeling this beautiful energy of how we've walked shoulder to shoulder, but I also have some of this like mama bear / mama bird energy right now, witnessing both of you rise in your facilitation skills in a digital form, because I know you had the amazing facilitation skills in person, but it is such a different experience and expression online. And it just kind of feels like we had this cozy nest, our playground, and now you were both like ready to fly on your own, which is amazing. Soaring, right? Like that card was called.
Yeah, can I just tell my story about the dance? Because wow, that theme is coming up so many times today. So if you didn't catch the beginning of this, when Nina had pulled the soaring card, so today in the playground, I shared my final dance offering, and at the end of it, we tapped in connection with your future self, and the future self was like holding you on this cliff and inviting you to take the leap of faith onto the next chapter so that they could be there to support you. And you know that you're held by your future self. They're there supporting you. And then we danced in the element with the intention and the quality of soaring. And we danced like birds all around. So I just love that energy, that message just keeps coming up again, because we are like just always riding the same wavelengths. And of course, that's a teaching from the Elemental Forces of Creation Oracle card. So it makes sense that it's coming up all three of us, because we are now so embodied in that work and that wisdom. But really, that's what we want to leave everyone with today. If you've listened to this conversation, that it's okay to try new things. It's okay if it's scary and you're going off into something else. There is this element of just having this sense of faith where you can trust that if you take that leap, you are able to soar. Yeah, soar. Source for some reason was wanting to come through, but you can be resourced and have a source there to help you, your high self there to help you, your future self there to help you, whatever it is, and be able to be in this trust and faith that it's all going to work out and there's something even better coming. And we don't need to know what it is. We just have to allow ourselves and practice. And it's not easy, like just have to do it. It can be challenging, but we have done so much work through the playground to be able to, and in our own lives, to be able to trust that whatever's coming next is going to be even better than everything that we've already done and already co-created. And I'm so excited to be able to go back in person and connect in person again. Online was great and it's still great for some things, but really being able to connect in person is going to be the most magical thing. I cannot wait until we can have a retreat again together, because that was another piece that I hosted a retreat and had both of you involved in facilitating it too. So we've all done these things over the years of inviting each other and working with each other in our spaces and sharing our magic. And it's wild to think about how potent that retreat in 2015 was and how much it changed lives and how much we've evolved. I'm getting so many tingles right now. How much we've evolved since then and how much more we can offer than we could even back then. And back then it was magical. So great, my friends.
Yes. Yes. I had to take my hair down because I was feeling restricted. So I'm like, can I soar with my hair tied back? No, I need to be free. But that's true. We've been walking this path together for so long in so many different ways that it just makes sense that things get to be created. And then when they've completed that life cycle, we get to allow them to be put to rest. And the new things that are even better, even more aligned, are going to come through. But each one of them is such an important piece of the puzzle, right? It's building that step-by-step ladder. And there's so much potential that I think everybody feels inside of them. And sometimes we forget that in order to get there, in order to get to that thing that you feel like you're here to share with the world, and it's so big, you say yes to the things that are on your heart that are right in front of you. But they probably won't be the forever thing, right? Nothing is forever except for, infinity. But so Nina, you're forever. We create things and we receive everything that we need from that. And then it gets to just become a stepping stone for the next thing and the next expression. And if we hadn't had all of those years of facilitation as ecstatic dance facilitators, as hula hoop instructors and festival organizers, then we wouldn't have had the coding for the ceremonial aspect of the playground, which then are evolving into these next offerings that we're going to be sharing with the world. It all fits together so perfectly. So letting yourself say yes to the thing that's right in front of you, even if you know it's not going to be forever, that can kind of feel scary to do something, even though it might not be the thing. Not only because there's not just going to be one thing, but because we don't always like to do something and think it's going to be temporary, When you start something, I think we oftentimes get caught up into like, this is forever, this is my life now, but it's constantly growing. And especially in these new times, in this new energy, Sandra Walters, Ascension Guide, says things get created and uncreated with equal ease in these new energies. And there's just so much data, so much information, so much evolution happening so quickly that it feels like allowing that process to happen instead of resisting it is like a key to remaining really in flow and floating on top of the energies and not being pulled under by how fast things are going, right? The density of certain things that were aligned in the past will become too heavy for us to be able to, like, mixing metaphors, tread water with it basically, or float on top or surf or whatever. If you try to, as Nina was saying, hang on to them beyond their expiration date, right? We need to have those open palms instead of grasping and clutching onto things. So how do you do that? How do you do this with grace and ease? Like Nina was saying, having the ceremony, having the conscious completion, having the ability to take the pearls of wisdom from what was, and then create the spaciousness for, with the trust and the faith, like Nicole was saying, that something even better is going to arise, even if you don't know what it is at the time, right? Following the flow of energy, allowing yourself to be with what is now instead of what you think should be, what you think is coming, or what was, right? Is just, I think, the most important lesson that I've been taking from this time. Because what is coming is greater than we can even possibly imagine right now. And what has been is worthy of celebration, right? It's just this infinite loop of creation, that infinity symbol. And right now, here in the month of August, we're at that X point, the three of us, where we're at, or just before the X, we're almost before the 0 point where the playground is ending. But there are so many new beginnings that are coming in at the same time. I'm excited to be able to speak into this in this first episode back of the Illumination series, which is a beginning at the same time as this ending. I've had beautiful shifts in other aspects of my business that I'm going to be able to bring forward and bring through the month of September. There's still so many opportunities to jump in and work with us individually or together. Each of us offers one-on-one sessions in a variety of forms, and there's a whole bunch of new expressions that are going to come forward. So if you are feeling like you're sad, you're a member of the playground and you're sad it is ending, there's two things to remember. One is it's not actually the end. This is just the X before we go into that next infinite loop. And two, you can, of course, we'll get details to you about this soon. You'll be able to purchase the playground library with the 2 years worth of ceremonies and practices and meditations and dance and everything like that. So you can continue to go through that magic. If you're a creation coach in my Creation Coach Academy, like Nicole and Nina are, then you still get access to the playground because we have a lot of reference material in there that adds to the Creation Coach program. And if anybody is like, what are you talking about with the Oracle cards? Like, what's happening with that? Nina and Nicole know them intimately, as well as our creation coaches. And these are the only people that have had the beautiful deck. Like, which way is that? The beautiful deck of the Elemental Forces of Creation Alchemy edition that we have created. And it's just been available inside the Creation Coach program, the 1-year certification to learn how to work with sacred space and the elements and facilitate in person and in classes and one-on-one sessions. But we are getting very close to being able to put them on sale to the public. This is one of those business things that has taken so much longer than we expected it to, setting everything up to be able to ship them out. But it's coming and it's coming soon. So I'm going to put the wait list for that information in the notes, just in case anybody is dying to get a hold of this incredible deck that has like the wisdom of the unified field accessible in it. And there's so much more to come as well. So I'm really excited. I'm so grateful for everything that we've created together. I'm so grateful for our friendship. I'm so grateful for the sisterhood wounds that we've healed together. I'm so grateful for the power of our intention and working together to create next level communities, experiences for our playground membership that is coming to a close, for in-person ceremonies with more coming up soon, and for everything else. Like, it just feels ripe with possibility. and potency and potential. And I'm so grateful to know you ladies. I love you so much. Thank you for walking this journey with me and being my evolutionary partners. And I know as I walk through life, we still get to walk together. We still get to do so much of this together. And I'm so excited to see what you two are going to create as well.
Thank you. So right back at you for all of those things. Yeah, it's been such a pleasure an honor. It's been such an honor to reunite in this lifetime, to do the work that we've done in other lifetimes and share all of this sacredness, even though we didn't necessarily call it that. We shared sacred space and created these sacred containers. And it is truly such an honor to have impacted so many souls in the playground. And I know that, even if I just quit everything right now that I'm doing, which I wouldn't, but if I did, I know that I could leave knowing that I've impacted people's lives in such a profound way, and that we both, all three of us, have. That's so special and why I love doing the work that we do. I'm grateful for all of this and excited for the potential of what's going to come next and to see what we are all going to create, because I'm just seeing like golden spirals flying out right now. I wish I could like tell you what that energy meant, but I'll just do a little bit of this. Yeah, just so much potential, and I am very excited to see it all unfold.
I'm echoing everything you both just said. I love you dearly. I'm so grateful for everything we've been able to birth together, and what lies ahead is going to be very beautiful and exciting. I wanted to share, this has kind of been pinging at me over the last little bit, a code that came through when we were sitting together on that Aries new moon, creating that space for the playground, like zero pointing the energy kind of in that kind of funeral energy, and then calling in, wow, this insight of speaking to the divinity and speaking to that Christ consciousness. We also, when I was speaking, as we were all just taking turns speaking what was coming through for us, I was brought to tears, feeling that there's this sense of freedom in this lifetime where we get to share what we're sharing, and that we don't have to be afraid of being taken out because of it, because I know that all three of us have lived lifetimes where we've been harmed for speaking our hearts and our soul's truth, and for teaching the type of thing that we share now, because it wasn't always safe. And there was underground mystery schools that we know we were all a part of in these various past lives, where this knowledge, this wisdom, these ancient codes were hidden, because if they were public, people would be basically killed for sharing it. So I just was like, I'm feeling the chills right now, and I just was brought to tears in that moment, knowing what a beautiful time this is, that we can be leaders and way showers, and we all are. Everyone is a leader and a way shower in their own way, and that as we can rise in our leadership and share the unique codes that we're here to share, it illuminates so much for people. It inspires them to rise, and so much gratitude that there's such a freedom and a liberation and an availability to be sharing this freely in this time that we're in.
That resonates so deeply with me. I recently, in one of my coaching sessions with my coach, Kelly Marie from Turned On Evolution, was brought back to this point where it was the first life where I remember, and I'd remembered many, many of them, where when my channeling abilities came online when I was a early teen, like just going through puberty around that 11, 12 mark, I'd be like cast out into the desert and just like left to die. And in the first lifetime where that happened, I realized that because I had such a strong connection to spirit, and I felt their presence so strongly, knowing that it was perfectly okay. It was part of the plan. I was going to be fine. My spirit was eternal, even if the human form was going to basically wander around the desert until it died of dehydration and sunstroke. I knew I was going to be okay, but I didn't allow my human to grieve. I didn't shed a single tear for myself and how I was cast out and killed by my village and my family and my friends. And I had to go back in and basically feel those feelings from that lifetime and grieve for that human life where all of that potential was snuffed out. And going through that process just a couple weeks ago just shifted my nervous system and reminded me of the power and the beauty of this particular lifetime, just like Nina's saying, where I get to shine, I get to show up, we get to do that, we get to be our full, radiant, luminous expression and speak candidly and share with the world who we really are as these beautiful divine sparks of light, without having to fear for our safety. And I just want to celebrate that. I want to celebrate that we are now in this time, especially where we are living here in Canada. You know, it's safe to express these things. It's safe to talk about the light within and the divinity and the spark of magic in all of us, and to support other people in remembering and then expressing that. And that's really what I feel like our Trinity really does. And no matter what program we're offering, no matter how we're sharing, it's about reminding people of the beautiful light within them and supporting them to be able to express it and share and shine their most radiant self. So you can look forward to so much more of that coming through from each of us individually. And I feel like there will be collective offerings from us again in the future. So they're coming. Magic is coming. More light, more love, more fun, more connection, more expression, more abundance. It's already here, and we're just physicalizing it now. As we're wrapping up, is there anything else that you wanted to share on this journey of endings and beginnings all at once?
I'm feeling really complete in all of that. Again, just offering gratitude to the playground. And one more thing actually wants to come through. So this year in particular, I'm at every playground thing pretty much, or catching all the replays, and I've been following our themes along this year, and it's been so profound for me, as my word for this year is sacred. And what obviously, which I'm just realizing now, this is obvious, that of course all of the things that we've been offering this month is leading me to this like inner spiral of coming into this deeper sacredness within myself. And I've learned so many lessons, and maybe I'll share that another time. But I was like, oh man, what am I going to do with this container is done for me? And I'm sad that I am not going to have like this energy to follow, I guess. And then I'm like, oh wait, the energy is, this is the power to stand on my own. So the playground is still giving me what I need, even in its ending, which is just such a magical synchronicity. And I just love when you are able to take that higher perspective and zoom out a little bit, feel the feelings, and then zoom out a little bit. You see that it's still all working out for you, even if it doesn't feel like it at first. Those are my parting words with you all today.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's so powerful when you shared that with us in our WhatsApp chat. And my parting words are how grateful I am for not only the playground, as I've already shared, but also the illumination shots that we did last year. It was a way to bring more interest and more, to serve, to connect, to share some of our beautiful downloads with a larger community, and also to share like, hey, we're the playground, come and play. And it's been so powerful for me to learn how to just go live and like have this beautiful conversation between the three of us and ping off of each other. And for me, as you mentioned earlier, Aurora, this transition towards sharing more in the digital space in terms of live and in terms of sharing ceremony and holding space for people all over the world through the digital portal of Zoom. Wow, it's been really very, very, very valuable practice and meaningful practice for me. So gratitude towards the Illumination series as well, and very excited to see what the new shape that it takes form will be with the new guests that you're bringing on.
I loved witnessing your expansion into that comfort level on the digital, because I know you're so great at it in person, right? As a facilitator and sharing. And it's so funny that at first speaking into a screen like feels so awkward. I remember my first lives a couple years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. I was like, I don't know what to do. And now, I mean, I don't even think for a second before turning on my Zoom or my Facebook Live or my IG or my TikTok or wherever I'm going live and having a conversation, even if nobody is connected with me. Like, I've loved our chats, but I've developed with practice this capacity to actually feel into the energy of everybody that's watching, even on a replay, which has just been such a cool skill to develop. And we've all learned so much. We've all leveled up so much. We've all grown so much that I think we just need a collective pat on the back. Oh, good job. Good job. Well done, ladies. But also, if you're watching this, can you take a second to acknowledge how much you've evolved over this last year, last 2 years? Gosh, since March 2020? How much have you learned? How much have you grown? I mean, we have been thrown into the accelerator. Our evolution has just been like. So I want you to give yourself some credit and some kudos and some acknowledgement for surviving to this point and for being willing to be here through this time. It was not an easy time to be alive, but I'm so inspired by so many people that I'm seeing digitally and in person that are choosing to take all of those pearls, all of those nuggets of wisdom, even from the compost, from the manure, from the shit that these last few years have been, and really thrive with them. There is so much magic coming. If you have made it this far, you're ready to soar. You're ready to fly. Maybe there's a few more steps in between, a little bit more healing for you to do on that journey, but it's coming, right? We are doing exceedingly well as a whole, believe it or not. Not looking at the world at large, but feeling into the energy of all the beautiful light leaders. And if you're watching this right now, I'm talking to you, right? Someone who is here to actively support the evolution of humanity in alignment with the earth, in connection and harmony with each other. You're doing a good job, a great job. Please give yourself so much love, so much hug. And may this be your permission slip to let go of something that's feeling heavy, that even if it's something that you've loved so much, even if it's something that was your dream. Sometimes we have to let go of a dream to make space for the new dream to come through. Right? I've done that several times in my lifetime. And when I thought I couldn't get any better, it did. Right? But it does take that faith. It does take that trust. And it does take the leap off the cliff. And then you're like, oh, hey, look, I'm soaring. It's amazing. So I love you all. I'll be doing illumination chats like this sporadically, sometimes spontaneously. You'll usually get a little bit of notice. Next week, though, same time, same place, I'll be having a conversation with, I hope I'm going to pronounce this right because I've actually never heard her speak her name out loud, but Ria Loveguard. We'll be talking about light language. We found each other online and we both share very similar coding in different ways. We've never spoken live before, but it's going to be an amazing conversation. I cannot wait. It's going to be a beautiful expansion. And I'm so grateful again, once more, to both of you, my beautiful friends, for having helped me connect with you so often in our last Illumination series, so that I felt like it was time to expand into something even bigger. So all of the love, so much happiness and gratitude for you in my lives. And if you've been watching this far, I love you too. You're amazing. You're so beautiful. You're doing a wonderful job at being a human right now, even if it doesn't feel like it. And you're also divine. So claim that part of you as a conscious creator and let yourself look what needs to be released to make space for the new energy that's even more aligned, even more beautiful, and even more exciting to come through. So. Bye, everyone. All the love.